Hi everyone, how's everyone doing today? Just want to say thank you for watching, and today I wanted to talk about accountability, specifically within politics, which is not something we see as much as we really should. And I'm not going to go into any particular details at the moment, but I'm going to paint you a little hypothetical situation. A rather comical one. Let's say we had an incident whereby Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump robbed a bank. Imagine it. Imagine the two of them went into a bank, armed, tried to hold the place up and make an escape for whatever silly reason. It sounds pretty funny and all, but the reality turns into is how some people would react to that as far as accountability goes. Now, my feeling is, as much as I am in support of Bernie Sanders, I would kind of look at that with an raised eyebrow and be like, what the F? But at the same time, I would say, I don't know what drove him to do that. Him and Trump are polar opposites. The fact that they would collaborate together and break the law like this just doesn't make any sense. But the simple bottom line is he robbed a bank. If the police apprehended him, I would say, if they've got evidence that proves he committed the crime, well then, he has to be held accountable for that crime. But there are some people on the right who might look at this and say, oh, well, I don't think Trump really meant to do that, or he didn't know, or maybe Bernie, talked him into doing that. He was just kidding. He really didn't mean that. We should cut him a break. And that's where the problem lies in. And this is not something you see entirely on the right, just to be fair. And, the fact that I'm using Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump as examples, again, that's just to bring home a point. Any politician, regardless of their title, regardless of what state they're in, regardless of whether or not you agree or disagree with their beliefs, should be held accountable on all levels. Okay? If one of them breaks the law, they should pay the price, because one, that tells you two things. If they're willing to break the law for their own benefit and still retain their position and not be beholden to consequences, not be held accountable in any way, that tells me one thing. That person is not looking after me. He's not looking after my interests or the interests of the American people, for that matter. That person is only looking out for themselves. And that should concern you, that if somebody breaks the law and they're not held accountable. And, just to be fair, we see other examples of this on a smaller scale, like when certain politicians use their position and insider information to invest in the stock market, which gives them a tremendous advantage that, regular people like us would never have. I say that is wrong. They are committing insider trading, and they should be held accountable, but they're not. And then, again, like I said, that's where the problem lies. And, if you're one of these, whether you're a voter or somebody in the media who tries to make excuses for these people, look at Donald Trump, He stole records from, the White House, and he shouldn't have done when his presidency ended. And now he's trying to make all these excuses, and people are trying to, defend him with a whole series of lies and just petty excuses. And that shows one thing. These people do not respect the rule of law. If they don't respect the rule of law, they don't respect you. They don't respect the voters. They don't respect the people. Guess what? To be fair, if Bernie Sanders did the same exact thing, if Joe Biden, if Hillary Clinton did the exact same thing, my reaction would be no different. My reaction would be they need to be held accountable. And if you're not somebody who's willing to admit that, to try and hold the politicians that you support accountable, well, you're voting against your best interests. You're not really supporting the rule of law. You're pretty much saying to yourself, well, I think we should all abide by the rules, but every now and then we should bend the rules and allow certain things to slide by when it's convenient. No, that is not the case you want to be. Because again, any politician who's ready to break the law is not looking after your best interests. I don't care what state they're in. I don't care what their title is. I don't care the reason that they did it. Bernie could turn around and say, well, I was robbing the bank to take the money and give it to the poor. Well, okay, he's a modern day Robin Hood, but he still broke the law. Same thing with Donald Trump. I don't excuse him for any of his crimes, you know. Some people like to bring up other politicians that they're opposed to and use them as an excuse, as a whataboutism. But that doesn't change the fact that they broke the law. We can look at Bernie and Trump and say, well, you know, yeah, they robbed the bank, but, you know, what about Bonnie and Clyde? What about Dillinger? Yeah, they robbed banks too, but that doesn't change the fact that what they did was wrong. So, you know, if you're not really ready to commit yourself to supporting politicians that are willing to abide by the law, to set a good example, then you're voting against your best interests. And you can point out these hypocrisies to some of these individuals out there that I'm referencing. You know who I'm talking about. We know who the guilty parties are. The simple fact remains is that they don't care. Okay? They will break the law as often as they can with impunity if they know they can get away with it. And if they're not held accountable, then they're going to continue to do so. And that should concern you. You shouldn't jump to their defense. You should say, hey, that isn't right. Because, and again, they are not doing it for the sake of the American people. They are doing it for the sake of themselves. And we need politicians that are willing to do the job, that are willing to serve the American people, not themselves. It's that simple. Anyway, I hope you understand, and thank you for watching.